and I'm gonna make us a hearty gumbo over rice.
Yummy.
Now, here's how I'm gonna start that. I'm gonna go ahead and get our pan over here and get it nice and hot. Then I'm gonna take some bacon, and I'm gonna take some sausage, and I'm just gonna let that cook up. I'm gonna take the grease and use some of that to saute the vegetables that come next. But first of all, let's get the bacon and the sausage started. Now, I've got chicken going here in the background. That's for the recipe here in a little while. That's how we make our stock. If you want some really good looking stock later, you can strain this off, put it in the fridge, and save it for a good while. But tonight, not only are we gonna use the chicken, in this case, thighs and legs, which we like the best, and this stock is gonna be used in the recipe as well as the chicken itself. So we're gonna take about 4 or 5 pieces of bacon and just turn those over till they get nice and brown. And they're gonna cook in this later as well. All right, so next, after we've set our meat aside.
I snuck some, it's really good.
What?
Yeah, Kelly stole one too.
What? Y'all out of control.
I know.
Now, do you remember a few years ago we went to French Quarter?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a friend down there who cooked us some jambalaya and some gumbo,
yeah.
so on and so forth. It's absolutely wonderful. One of the things you got to keep in mind here, you got to do a roux. We're going to do a roux here in a little while. But the first thing we need to do is take our trinity, our celery, onions, and peppers.
I'm working on it.
And we're going to take, I don't know, 2 stalks we got here.
Yeah.
Then we're going to cut some onions up, 2 small onions, and I don't know, a pepper and a half. And we're going to saute that. Now pour some of that grease out in our existing grease. So I'm going to saute these, let them release their flavors. Meanwhile, the chicken is bubbling in the background. Now that's been cooking for several hours today. Cook that with the skin and the bone in. At this point, I'm going to ask Nikki to give me a little bit of garlic and put in here. She's going to press some garlic right in here. Now, a lot of recipes can start like this. You get that base flavor. One little garlic in here, obviously. Now, we're to the point where these sauteed vegetables are looking really good. At the last minute, I'm going to pop in some okra. I'm just going to lightly turn it over. All right, let's take just a little bit of this chicken stock. Not much, but just, I don't know, half a cup. All right, at this point, we're going to come back with a quart of our tomatoes. Remember we canned our tomatoes this past year? That's mighty handy right now. Oh, wait, you can't use tomatoes in cast iron. Oh, yes, you can. Now we're going to come back with our dry ingredients. I'm going to take some homemade Cajun seasoning that I made, and I'm going to dash it out. And there's plenty of store-bought Cajun stuff out there. This has got some cayenne, a little paprika, some garlic. I'm going to take some basil. You know I like basil, and it works well in here. I'm going to put a little bit of thyme and just a few red pepper flakes because this is going to have some heat in it. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Remember, our meats, our bacon and our sausage are going to have salt in them. That's going to release into that. We're going to take some green chilies, and I'm going to put, I don't know, I'm going to put about half of that in there. That's probably about 3 ounces. I'm going to let that cook just a little while because Nikki doesn't like her stuff real hot. I'm going to see where that takes us. Now we've taken about a half a pound of sausage and about 4 pieces of bacon. Take a gander at that. I'm going to leave the top open so I can keep an eye on it. I'm going to let it cook down. I'm going to let it boil, slow simmer for about an hour.
Well, it's just falling apart. It's perfect.
Nikki's pulling the chicken out. Just give me little bite-sized pieces in here.
Pretty hot.
All right, we're going to start adding our chicken as we get it. All right, I'm going to start my roux. When we visited Louisiana a few years ago, I wanted to talk to a chef who really knew what he was doing down there. And his formula for a roux, and I'm just adding this flour just to show you what we've got here. I've got 1/3 of a cup of oil and a 1/2 cup of flour. I have just put this in here and I have stirred this. And the longer you do this, the darker it gets. If you want a really dark roux and you like that almost burnt flavor, you keep lowering the temperature and you just keep on cooking it. I am about where I want to be. This is a wonderful thickening agent and a flavor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my chicken stock to that. See how that's thickening up right there? Now I'm going to take my roux, pour off in there. And oh my, what have we got going on? Now there's the consistency you think about right there. The last thing we're gonna do is take some fresh, uncooked shrimp, and we're just gonna lightly cook them until they're nice and pink and done. And then we have us something else. Now I'm gonna cover this just for a minute. Let that get all acquainted, and we're about ready to have dinner. Let's see where we're at here. Oh my, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Look at that.
Yum.
Is it not
Oh,
beautiful?
it's amazing.
Okay, if you hold that over a little bit further. All right, now I could have made this a lot hotter. You could put more red pepper flakes, you could put more chilies, you could put hotter peppers, but I know that you like a little bit of heat, but not a lot.
Yeah, you like it hotter than I do.
But I do believe this is probably one of the prettiest gumbos I've seen in a while. I tasted it a minute ago. Oh,
I'm
so
excited.
Mrs. Farmer, it's all
I'm
you.
excited. So like a sausage?
Yeah. All right, tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Wow.
people say, does she like everything
Wow.
he cooks? First of all, we're very adventurous when it comes to eating. There's hardly anything that we don't like. And is there anything that she makes that I don't like? Very rarely. And that's something.
That's really good.
The roux, now I'll tell you the secret of this. The roux, I didn't make a real dark roux, but the roux along with the chilies in there, that's what makes this particular dish. It's just absolutely wonderful. And a little bit of the meat juices. Oh,
That is so good.
It's wonderful.
You need to make this more often.
So, let's skip from here to here. Now, we talk about, let's think about this as an oven.
Right.
So what do you have to do when we're setting out here and we're getting ready to cook a dessert? What do you have to do?
You preheated my oven.
You gotta preheat your oven. Now, this is a 10-inch, and we're gonna put a pie in there.
Right.
13 on the top, 6 on the bottom gives us our 325. And it's uncanny how close it is to that. Now, there may be a couple degrees temperature difference, but it is just very close to that every time. So let's eat the fire out of that, and then we'll come back and have some dessert.
Yay.
Dig it?